Yugo uopšte nije loš automobil, vozim ga svaki dan i delovi se lako nabavljaju. Nije neobično kada ovo čujete u Srbiji, ali da li je moguće da tako govori neko ko živi u Cikagu? I to ne jedan čovek, već dvojica. Ko su ljudi koji su u Americi kunu u svoje jugiće, za oko magazina otkriva Aleksandar Žigić.
U Americi možete kupiti kola kakva god poželite, ali za neke ljude ovdje u okolini Cikaga nema boljih kola od Yuga. Larry Claypool i Gary Ross su rođeni i odrasli u Cikagu. Žive u predgrađu Frankfurt, na oko 50 km od centra grada. Pored toga što su dobri drugari i komšije, Larry i Gary dele ljubav za istu vrstu kola, Yugo. Čak je i glavni odašnji list, Cikago Tribune, pisao o njima. Larry ima jedan od samo nekoliko desetina Yugo kabrioleta koji su ikada prodati u Americi. Well, Larry, how did you decide to buy your first Yugo?
Well, you know, these cars were always very inexpensive. That was their main selling point. And of course, once they became used cars, they became extremely inexpensive. So I'm always up for some interesting or unusual cars. And I came across a Yugo GVX model that was very inexpensive, but a basically sound car. And so I bought it just as a runabout. And it's kind of like a potato chip. It's hard to have just one. So I bought the one, and then I came across another one, and it eventually led to me finding the convertible.
So how old is your Yugo now, and do you still drive it?
This one is a 1990 model, so that makes it 19 years old. And I drive this whenever it's nice, decent weather out. Of course, it has an electric convertible top, but I pretty much put the top down, and I never put it up unless I'm caught in the rain, so I drive it only on nice days.
What do neighbors say if they see you driving a Yugo? Do they even know what it is?
Well, a lot of people don't know what it is, and the people that do know what it is are always amazed, because here in the United States, it's a rare sight to see any Yugo, let alone one driving down the road. So whenever I would take it somewhere, the usual comment is, "Oh, I can't believe that's running. Where did you find it?"
Naravno, vi se možda pitate, jedna stvar je voziti Yugo u Americi, ali kako naći rezervne delove za njega?
Well, actually, parts are not as hard to come by as you might think. Orion Motors in Texas has a wonderful supply of Yugo parts, and they're quite reasonably priced. So if there's an item that we couldn't get locally, say, for instance, a throttle cable or something that is very specific to the car, one phone call and we can get it. More common parts like, say, a timing belt or brake shoes or something, oil filters, more maintenance items, those are still available. They're still listed in catalogs. It's not usual that you're going to walk into the store and they're going to have it on the shelf, but usually they can order it within a day, and that stuff is more available than you might think.
Larry je inače automehaničar. U svom dvorištu ima još škola iz istočne Evrope, koja se inače ne viđaju u Americi.
I kind of enjoy unusual cars, so as far as Eastern cars, I have both a Tatra and a Skoda, and I have a Trabant, and let me think what else. We have two Zaporozhets, a 965A and a 968.
A Larry i Gary imaju još jedan način da dobiju delove, od jednog starog jugića koji je sakriven pod drvetom iza kuće. Larry želi da mu Yugo traje što duže, pa ga vozi samo kada je napolju suvo vreme, bez kiše, snega i soli na putevima. Kao zaljubljenik u Yuga, Larry je već dobro upoznat sa činjenicom da se on više ne proizvodi. They stopped the production of Yugo recently. How do you feel about that?
Well, in its day, when this car was sold here in America, it was a fairly modern concept with the front-wheel drive and all. Nowadays, it's very dated. I mean, the design went back to the 70s. So the fact that the production ended just last November, that's pretty remarkable that they made the car for 30 years and not changed it significantly.
Ni Larry ni Gary nisu nikada kročili u Srbiju.
I was in Germany and Austria 2 years ago, and did not see a single Yugo anywhere out there.
How does it feel here? Here in the U.S., a lot of cars are pretty large. They're Hummers, they're other big cars. How does it feel driving a Yugo next to these big cars?
Well, I've always been interested in smaller cars. I have a number of smaller cars, so for me, it's not unusual. I know some people will look and say, "Oh, that car is so tiny," but in the real world of cars, the Yugo is not that tiny. There are smaller cars than this, so it doesn't bother me.
I see you have even a Yugo shirt and then some Yugo signs from a former dealership. How did you get hold of those?
Well, again, because these cars were marketed here, the dealership signs existed as long as the dealers did, and once the cars were stopped being sold here, all that stuff either got thrown out, or in a couple of fortunate cases, I was able to purchase some of that stuff, usually for not very much, because it's still even questionable whether or not the cars are collectible, but we certainly have a lot of fun with them. Yeah, the convertible is actually a project of Yugo of America rather than Zastava. So Yugo of America already had now the lowest priced new car available in America. They also wish to have the lowest priced convertible in America. So they checked around with Detroit contractors who did conversion work. A lot of the 80s convertibles were converted cars. They checked around with a number of companies with some rather specific goals in mind. One is having a full convertible without a T-top or reinforcement bar like the Volkswagen Rabbit had at the time. And there was only one company in Detroit who said they could do it. And that is exactly what they did.
Gary je dobio ideju da kupi svog Juga kada je video Larryjevog. Well, Gary, what kind of car do you drive?
A 1991 Yugo GV Plus.
Are there many people around here in Chicago area who drive 1991 Yugos?
Nope.
Well, Gary bought his Yugo after seeing and driving in mine, and seeing that they're really a decent car, for what they are. I mean, if you bought a Yugo thinking it would be a Cadillac or a Lincoln, well, you misled yourself into thinking that. But if you bought it as an economical small car and you treated it well, then you were rewarded with a good small car.
I'm the Yugo guy. Everybody knows me by my blue Yugo because I use it every day. It's my everyday driver.
What about if you go to a store, you park at a shopping lot? Are people surprised these days?
Yeah, they come up to me and they say, my uncle drove one of those. My dad drove one of those. And we just don't see them anymore. That's true.
What does it feel like these days when you drive it? Do you have a lot of problems with it?
Nope. That's the big problem. You don't have any problems with it. They finally got it right. I mean, I take this thing out on the road. I drive all over. In fact, last year I put on close to 11,000 miles. That's my main driver.
How many miles do you have in it altogether?
190,000 plus. In miles.
That's about 300,000 kilometers.
Right. That's the original engine, original actually drivetrain on there.
How long do you plan to drive it for?
Until the wheels fall off of it, really. There's no rust on it either, which really surprises me for a vehicle that you drive, in the wintertime. But it was undercoated, and it had some kind of a rust proofing.
Gary sa ponosom kaže da njegov Yugo i posle 18 godina pali iz prve, makar napolju bilo i minus 15. Oba sagovornika kažu da se ljudi koji ih prvi put vide da voze Juga čude i da ne znaju šta je u pitanju. Gary kaže da je jedini problem da nagovori prijatelje da se voze sa njim, jer misle da je auto kao konzerva. Čak i njegova žena tako misli, ali je ponekad ubedi da obrnu koji krug. Ako vas put nekad nanese ovdje u Cikago, nemojte se začuditi ako na ulicama vidite i ponekog Juga. Iz Cikaga izveštava Aleksandar Žigić.